Hello, world explorers. This is Oftheworld, your guide to the nations of our planet. Today, for our weekly meeting, we set sail on an incredible journey, a chronicle of a nation teeming with diversity and steeped in history, South Africa. Nestled at the southernmost tip of the African continent, South Africa is a spectacular tapestry of landscapes, from the craggy peaks of the Drakensberg Mountains to the golden beaches of the Western Cape. It's home to iconic landmarks like Table Mountain and the Kruger National Park, each telling a unique story of this nation's rich heritage. Our journey begins in the heart of South Africa, its capital, Pretoria. As we traverse through South Africa's riveting timeline, we'll encounter a myriad of languages, including its official language, Afrikaans, and a multitude of dialects that add to the country's vibrant cultural mosaic. If you enjoy this journey through South Africa's history, remember, give this video a thumbs up and share which country you'd like featured in our upcoming weekly episode. Also, make sure to hit the notification bell so you stay tuned for our next weekly video. South Africa's narrative begins far back, around 100,000 years ago, with the first human setting foot on its soil. The story of this land is as enduring as humanity itself, deeply etched into the stones and the sands, whispered by the capricious wind. Now let's journey back to this very dawn of history, when the earliest inhabitants, namely the San and Khoikhoi people, roamed these vast territories roughly around 2,000 years ago. This was an epoch vastly different from our own, with these unique societies living harmoniously with the rhythmic pulse of the untamed African wilderness. The San, also widely known as Bushmen, were expert hunters and gatherers. Their close-knit family units left behind a rich and comprehensive legacy of rock art that provides an intriguing insight into their spiritual beliefs and daily existence. The Khoikhoi, on the other hand, were dedicated pastoralists, adept at rearing cattle and sheep, semi-nomadic lifestyle. Blessed with a carefully stratified society where wealth was predominantly measured in livestock, their enduring imprint on the land is still clearly visible today in their kraals or livestock enclosures. These were certainly not isolated societies. They interacted, traded, and occasionally came into conflict. Over time, they developed intricate societal structures and cultural norms, creating a dynamic tableau of diverse experiences. Yet the dawn of history is not just a mere window into the past, it's also a guiding for the future. The sustainable lifestyles of the San and the Khoikhoi, with their environment and nature, their unique languages and beliefs, still echo in the modern-day South Africa. Words such as kudu, eland, and karoo, borrowed from the Khoikhoi language, serve as a potent reminder of their lasting impact on South African culture. As we delve deeper into the subsequent chapters of South Africa's tumultuous history, we should always remember the San and Khoikhoi. Their resilient existence is act of this land's captivating saga. Ancient cultures set the stage for the diverse and rich tapestry of history that was to unfold. As centuries rolled by, South Africa experienced waves of new populations, each influencing its culture and history in profound ways. Let's turn back time to around 500 AD. The vast expanses of South Africa began to resonate with the languages of the Bantu-speaking tribes. These tribes, hailing from Central and Eastern Africa, embarked on a large-scale migration around this time, spreading their influence across the continent. They introduced iron tools and novel farming techniques, significantly altering the land's dynamics. The Bantu tribes, with their myriad cultures and languages, formed the heartbeat of South Africa. They established kingdoms, participated in international trade, and made noteworthy advancements in metalwork. Their influence is deeply woven into the fabric of modern South African culture and identity. Fast forward to the late 17th century, precisely 1652, a new wave of settlers started to appear along the South African coasts. The Dutch, seeking a refreshment station for their ships bound for the east, landed at the Cape of Good Hope. They founded the Cape Colony, signifying the advent of European settlement in South Africa. The Dutch settlers, also known as Boers, introduced a new language, Afrikaans, and a distinct way of life. They built farms, referred to as boerdery, across the Cape. Their interactions and frequent conflicts with the indigenous people and the Bantu-speaking tribes instigated a significant shift in the region's cultural and political landscape. As Dutch solidified their presence, other European powers also set their sights on South Africa. The British, French, and Germans each left an unforgettable impact on the country's history. The cultural, linguistic, and political diversity that characterizes South Africa today is a testament to these historical interactions. The integration of the Bantu and the Europeans was not a simple blending of cultures. It was a complex process, riddled with conflicts, alliances, and power struggles. However, it was these very conflicts and changes that sculpted the diverse and vibrant nation of South Africa. These arrivals around 500 AD and 1652 marked the beginning of a period of conflict and change. In 1806, a new chapter began in the history of South Africa, the beginning of British rule. Picture this: a world far removed from the Industrial Revolution's smokestacks and cobblestones of London, yet firmly under the command of the British Empire. The British takeover was far from peaceful. It was an era of turbulence marked by battles and discord, as the indigenous African tribes and the Dutch settlers, known as Boers, defied British dominance. This was a time of transformation and turmoil, as Britain endeavoured to impose their influence and control over this rich and diverse terrain. The mid-19th century marked the era of the discovery of diamonds in Kimberley and gold in the Witwatersrand. These discoveries brought about an immediate transformation. South Africa was no longer just a strategic port, it evolved into a treasure chest shimmering with promise and potential. The rush was on, and folks from all corners of the world banded together to South Africa, each hoping to stake their claim and make their fortune. However, this newfound wealth brought along with it escalated tension. The Boers and the British found themselves intertwined in a power struggle, each competing for control of these valuable resources. This strain eventually sparked off two wars, the most brutal of which was the Second Boer War from 1899 to 1902. On one side stood the British, with their vast resources and industrial might, and on the other were the Boers, hardened and resolute from years of frontier life. The wars were marked by guerrilla warfare, scorched earth policies, and devastating loss of life in concentration camps. The Boer Wars finally came to an end, leaving South Africa under British rule, but the foundation for future conflict was laid. The war had laid bare deep-seated divisions within South African society, divisions that would continue to mold the country's history well into the 20th century and beyond. But that, dear listener, is a tale for another time. The 20th century brought one of South Africa's darkest periods, the era of apartheid that spanned from 1948 to 1994. This system of institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination took hold in 1948, when the National Party came to power, promising to uphold and enforce the separation of races. Apartheid, meaning apartness in Afrikaans, was more than just a political ideology. It was a way of life that permeated every aspect of South African society for 46 years. Laws were passed restricting non-whites' rights to own land and businesses and limiting their movement. The population was classified into 4 racial categories: white, black, colored, and Indian. These classifications dictated where you could live, work, and even who you could marry. The effects of apartheid were devastating and far-reaching. Non-white South Africans were forcibly removed from their homes and relocated to segregated neighborhoods. They were denied access to quality education, healthcare, and job opportunities. Apartheid didn't just segregate the races, it created a deeply unequal society where a minority systematically oppressed the majority. Yet apartheid was met with fierce resistance, both domestically and internationally. Organizations such as the African National Congress, or ANC, led the fight against apartheid from South Africa. Many of its members, including a young lawyer named Nelson Mandela, were imprisoned for their activism. But their spirit was not easily quelled. Mandela, in particular, became a symbol of resistance. Despite spending 27 years in prison, his resolve did not waver. His message of equality, unity, and justice resonated with people around the world. The pressure on the South African government to end apartheid grew. Protests and strikes became commonplace. The Soweto uprising in 1976, where students protested against the enforcement of Afrikaans as a medium of instruction in schools, is one of the most well-known acts of the brutal response of the apartheid regime, revealed its true face to the world, sparking international outrage. Economic sanctions and divestment from foreign companies put further strain on South Africa's economy. The apartheid government found itself increasingly isolated and under pressure to change. Yet the road to transformation was not smooth. It was marked by violence, turmoil, and great sacrifice. Apartheid left an indelible mark on South Africa, but the fight for freedom was far from over. As the 20th century neared its close, a wave of change swept over South Africa, altering its destiny in profound ways. At the heart of this transformation was the collapse of apartheid, a system of institutionalized racial segregation that had ruled the nation for over 4 decades. By the late 1980s, internal and international pressures against the apartheid system had reached a fever pitch. The world was watching, and change was inevitable. Under President F.W. de Klerk, the apartheid government started to acknowledge the urgent need for reform. Groundbreaking steps were taken in February 1990 when de Klerk unbanned the African National Congress and other opposition political parties. Yet, a pivotal was still on the horizon. On February 11, 1990, Nelson Mandela, the emblem of the anti-apartheid movement, emerged from his 27-year imprisonment. This moment marked not just the approaching end of apartheid, but also the dawn of a new era in South Africa's story. By 1994, the countdown to the end of apartheid had begun. In this historic year, South Africa saw its first democratic elections. South Africans of all races partook in this momentous event, casting their votes for the first time. The outcome was unsurprising. Nelson Mandela, who had been incarcerated for his convictions for nearly 3 decades, was elected as first black president of South Africa, a position he held from 1994 to 1999. Mandela's presidency was more than just a political shift. It was a symbol of hope and reconciliation, underscoring the indomitable spirit of the South African people. During his 5-year term as president, Mandela worked relentlessly to unite a nation scarred by deep racial divisions. He strove to create a South Africa that was inclusive of all its citizens, irrespective of their race or ethnic origins. Through the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, he aimed to confront the atrocities of the past and lay the groundwork for a future built upon justice and equality. Despite the formidable challenges he faced, Mandela's commitment to democracy, human rights, and social justice never wavered. His leadership, vision, and firm belief in the power of unity and forgiveness continued to resonate globally. Mandela's presidency ushered in a new era for Africa, an era of hope and reconciliation. As Archbishop Desmond Tutu famously said, it was a time when the Rainbow Nation began to fully embrace its diversity and strive towards a future where all its citizens could live in freedom, dignity, and peace. In the current era of the 21st century, South Africa continues to grapple with its past while moving forward. This is a land that has been shaped by a tumultuous history, and yet it has an unwavering spirit of resilience that is truly inspiring. South Africa today is a vibrant mosaic of cultures, languages, and traditions. It's a country that boasts 11 official languages, a testament to its rich diversity. From the Zulu and Xhosa in the east to the Afrikaans and English speakers in the west, the country is a symphony of tongues that adds to its unique charm. Despite its rich cultural heritage, South Africa today faces a myriad of challenges. High unemployment rates, particularly among the youth, and persistent socioeconomic disparities remain significant hurdles. The legacy of apartheid still casts a long shadow over the Rainbow Nation. Economic inequality, largely along racial lines, is a pressing issue that the country continues to tackle head-on. Yet it's not all gloom and doom. South Africa has made great strides in various sectors. It's home to a burgeoning tech industry, with Cape Town dubbed as the Silicon Cape, has a robust media industry, with its film and television productions gaining international acclaim. In sports, the Springboks, South Africa's national rugby team, are world champions and a source of national pride. Then there's the natural beauty of South Africa, which is nothing short of breathtaking. From the stunning beaches of Durban to the majestic Table Mountain in Cape Town and the sprawling savannas of the Kruger National Park, South Africa's landscapes are as diverse as its people. The country is also making strides in environmental conservation, with numerous initiatives aimed at preserving its rich biodiversity. South Africa is home to the Big Five lion, leopard, rhinoceros, elephant, and Cape buffalo, and the government has made significant efforts to protect these iconic species. Despite its struggles, South Africa stands as a beacon of resilience and diversity. It's a nation has faced its past, is grappling with its present, and is boldly striding into its future. As we look at South Africa today, we see a nation that refuses to be defined by its past, but rather a country that is writing its own narrative, one of hope, resilience, and unity in the 21st century. In 1996, South Africa adopted a democratic constitution, marking a significant departure from its apartheid past. This constitution is now the supreme law of the land, encapsulating the hard-won values of human dignity, equality, and freedom. Central to South Africa's political framework is a parliamentary system. The national parliament is bicameral, encompassing two houses, the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces. The 400-member National Assembly stands as the primary legislative body, while the National Council of Provinces, comprising 90 members, guarantees that each of South Africa's 9 provinces has a voice in the country's affairs. South Africa's political scene is varied and dynamic, with multiple parties participating in the democratic conversation. The African National Congress, or ANC, has maintained its ruling position since the termination of apartheid in 1994. The Democratic Alliance and the Economic Freedom Fighters are amongst the other notable parties, each offering their unique viewpoints. The President of South Africa, presently Cyril Ramaphosa, functions as both the head of state and the head of government. The President is elected by the National Assembly and charged with upholding the Constitution, acting in the best interest of all South Africans. South Africa's political journey has been marked by transformation and resilience. From the repressive apartheid regime to the adoption of a democratic constitution in 1996, from political segregation to a vibrant multi-party system, the nation has steered through significant change. The journey, however, is far from concluded. The government continues to wrestle with pressing issues like inequality, corruption, and poverty. Despite the challenges, South Africa's spirit persists, undaunted. Its people continually shape the nation's destiny, striving relentlessly for a more equitable and thriving future. South Africa's journey proceeds, with its people molding its future every day. From the earliest human settlements around 1 million years ago to the thriving rainbow nation it is today, South Africa's history is a tale of resilience and transformation. We've journeyed from the dawn of history around 500 AD, witnessing the arrival of Bantu settlers, followed by the arrival of European settlers in the 17th century. The 19th century marked the commencement of British rule and the Boer War. The nation struggled during the Apartheid Era, starting from 1948 and ending in 1994, was a testament to its spirit of resistance. This era paved the way for the inspiring presidency of Nelson Mandela that began in 1994. South Africa today in the 21st century is a melting pot of cultures, languages, and traditions, a testament to its rich and diverse history. The current government, under the leadership of its ruler, continues to shape the nation's future, building on its past and looking forward to what lies ahead. Famous for its stunning landmarks, diverse dialects, and significant historical characters, South Africa remains a fascinating chapter in the book of world history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through South Africa's history, a timeline spanning over 1 million years. Don't forget to subscribe for more Nations of the World episodes. Until next time, this is Oftheworld signing off.